Welcome back to the wonderful world of metadata. In this video, I want to talk about creating presets. Presets are wonderful ways to improve your workflow, so you can pay attention to the creative side of photography. Presets are a way that you can add information, in this case metadata, to an entire group of images at once. You could add it to one as well using a preset, but generally the idea of presets is that you're going to be able to add it to many multiple files at the same time. You can create a preset to add specific metadata, which I'm going to show you first, and you can also create a preset to rename your files on import, that is, when you bring them in and copy them off of your card. Now, these are really, file naming is metadata, but because it happens at a different time, it's a separate preset. So one is the metadata preset and one is the file naming preset. We're going to start with the metadata. Now, you want to notice something before, whenever we click a file, we get all of this metadata show up here, and we also do have the presets. But in order to create a brand new preset that has nothing in it, I'm actually going to deselect, and you notice this metadata panel goes away because no file is selected. And I'm instead going to go up to metadata and edit metadata presets. And in this case, I'm going to get, this is what I want to show you, a brand new, completely empty preset panel. Now, please don't stress out a lot. I know there's a ton of information here, but notice that most of it is really sort of specialty, things you don't have to add. Some of these, when you actually look at individual files, if things have been added later, it'll show up here. So for you to create your preset for import or to add to images, you can look at primarily at the red areas. These are the things that you want to pay attention to. Everything else, you go down here, this is all video, so we don't need to worry about that at all. There's a lot more options for you to fill out than you actually have to do. Okay, so let's just go to the red items, and we can start by adding the copyright. And the copyright would just be your name, because you are the artist. And the next one, you're going to say that it is copyrighted. You don't want it to be public domain or unknown. Now, you don't have to do this to copyright your image, but it's helpful to make sure that it's there because all images are copyrighted when they're made. But if you add this, it's a little bit of extra protection. And this, generally what you'd want to say is all rights reserved. But if you were being generous, you might also say used with credit or something like that. Down here, this is your IPTC, and notice this is all IPTC, that is information that's added after the fact. This would be you again, probably, right? Your address, 1000 Star Street. My city would be Starry Skies, California. I'm making this up for fun. Province, actually, Creator City is Starry Skies. Oh, I got it wrong. I want to do it right. And this one is going to be California, and I'm going to call it 94000. Whoops, there we go. The country is USA. And the phone number is going to be 1 or just 800-000-000, just to make sure. The email, I'll just go ahead and do mine, barsness@solano.edu. And if you have a website, that's awesome. Mine is sarahbarsness.com, and I can just put that I am the owner of this business. So the rest of this, again, there's only one other that that's suggestion that you do. This is the intellectual genre. We could just call this photography. But you could also, if you're doing nature or landscape or anything like that, you could add that as well. Once you are finished, there's nothing else that we need to do unless you want to. We just click done, and you're going to save it as class demo. You're going to save it with your name, but I'm going to save it with class demo, just so that we can set it apart. And there we go. Now, if I select all of these in this folder and I go over to the presets, I can actually select class demo. You can see I did an earlier one, that's demo for class, but the one we want is class demo. And I'm going to add it to all of these. And when I deselect it and select an image, whoops, oh, it's not quite done yet. I was rushing it. So you can tell up here it's applying the preset. So once it gets done, if we select one of these, oh, I hope it's there. Yes, come on, there we go. So once it's done, we select these and you can see that all of that information, we need to go into IPTC since that's most of what it is. And you will see that it's on Star Street. Oh, I did Start Street. I'll have to correct that. Starry Skies. All of that other information comes in. And that is true for each of these images. They all have that same information. The date, of course, is not part of IPTC. It's part of EXIF, so that changes, but the rest of them are all there. So that is how you do a preset. Now I want to talk about creating a naming preset, which is a really useful tool for keeping your files organized and in order. You can create a naming preset and turn it on and use it every time you import files from your card. So naming presets are done separately from metadata presets. Even though the name of a file technically is its metadata, the naming has a couple other things that you want to think about. You want to be able to customize it, and so it is separate. That preset is created separately from the metadata preset. But once you get both of them set up, you can use them on import. So I've simulated importing from my card here with these images. Now I want you to notice, looking over here where we have the rename files open, the little panel open, and I'm going to go ahead and close everything down just so you can see all of this. So all of these are important, but when you come in, we have all these different subpanels. Now, copy is on, so file renaming is available, but notice that if I go to add, did you see that? These two stay available, but of course the destination goes away and the naming goes away. Lightroom protects you from yourself. It doesn't want you renaming files that you have already placed somewhere, because that could create chaos and confusion, and heaven knows we don't need that. But once we go back to copy, file renaming shows up again. Okay, so let's go ahead and click it open and see what we can do here. You can turn file renaming off. You can just leave the files the same as they come out of your camera. I don't recommend it because as they come out of your camera, they're pretty generic. They're going to repeat eventually, and things will get confusing. So I prefer creating a custom naming system that's going to ensure that my file names don't repeat within a certain period of time. Okay, so I'm going to name my files. I'm going to go up to custom settings, and it's going to bring up this rather strange and somewhat daunting little box, but I'm going to break it down for you. The first thing we want to do, it's called a custom text, and custom text in this case means your name. Now, there might be other times when you're naming them differently, but for our purposes, you're going to name it with your name. And I'm going to go ahead and do the name Ideal Student because that is the name I use for when I'm demoing. And so you see now the custom name is going to be idealstudent_.nef. That is not going to be precise enough because everything is going to be named Ideal Student. Nothing is numbered. It's going to be enormously confusing. Okay, so I'm going to do an underscore before I add the next detail. Now you can add all of these options in any order you want. So I'm going to go ahead and add the sequence. This is the numbering. You can do image number or you could do sequence number. Now notice that these give you the options to start at 1 and go all the way down to basically what is a numbering sequence of 5 zeros or 10,000. And so you can actually, this is import image and sequence. They're not terribly different. I'm going to go ahead and choose sequence, and I'm going to go ahead and choose that longest number because I want to be sure that the numbers don't repeat on me and create naming confusion. So I insert that, and you can see that now it's ideal student. This is the first. It won't repeat again until 10,000, which sounds pretty good. Although I can shoot 10,000 images pretty fast. So I also want to put in, and I'll do another underscore. If you miss these underscores, everything runs together, but you can go ahead and add them back in. I'm going to add the month, and notice that this is this is all dates, but one of the things I can add is the month, and I want to add it a little shortened here. So I'm going to add the month and insert it. And that puts in September because it's September. And then I'm also going to add underscore. I'm going to add the year. And the year I'm going to add just as, I could do it this way. That might be safe, but I'm going to go ahead and put 4 numerals in. And again, this is going to be up to you, but I like to have enough information. I don't want the title to get too long, although it's pretty long already. And I want to have the information here so that when I look at it, not only do I have a sequence number, but I'll know when I shot it, what month and what year I shot it. And I shouldn't usually choose, I shouldn't shoot more than 10,000 photos in a month. It could happen, but not recently. And so once I get all of that in and I'm satisfied with the way that this is going to look, this is a very important part. I want to actually click this, and I'm sorry it isn't more intuitive, but you want to go down to Save Current Settings as a new preset. This is really important because you want to be able to access this all the time. You can call it anything you want, but I'm going to call it Ideal Student, and I'm going to capitalize it, and I'm going to create, and I'll say Done, and notice that it immediately pops up there. It is now one of all of these preset options, but it automatically defaults to it. And if I click that and I leave it on rename files, this ideal student will be the preset during any import. Now, I want to go to this next button because I want you to notice that not only can I rename it, but at the same time, I can make sure I could either have on the metadata, I could apply none, but what I prefer to do is to put in class demo. That's the one that I created. I'm not going to do any develop settings. People like to do this, but I generally never do, but you might find that handy. Keywords, I don't usually do it on import, although I'm thinking I should. I'm going to talk to you about keywords in the next video, and so I'll address that then. Remember that the destination is always really important. I'm going to put this into pictures, and I'm going to call it into a subfolder called demo naming, and click import. And this is going to take a while, so we might do a little cooking show magic here while they come in, and when they're all there, I'll edit, I'll come back, and I'll show you how it looks. Okay, so the images are starting to come in. So as they come in, I want to just take a look at it, and let's let it come in just a little bit further. And when we click on an individual image, you'll see down here that it has this new naming sequence. If we look at the metadata, we will see that all of the stuff that we included in that metadata, starry skies, etc., is all included as well. So that all happened on import. I can leave those settings on, and I never have to worry about it again unless I need to change it. Okay, that's it. Next video, we're going to talk keywords and searches.